It's not always at this close to training camp opening that we get a major trade that literally shifts kind of the tides in both conferences in the way that Karl Anthony Towns going to the New York Knicks does. But me, JB, C-Dub, and Steve are going to break it all down, kind of go more in depth on it right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. We got the team in the building, minus Kev and Bobby. JB is back making his return to podcast, and the prodigal one has returned. But with that said, hey, this is great timing, JB. You just came back. Your first episode back was just a couple of days ago, and your team, the New York Knicks, make a major trade in acquiring Karl Anthony Towns. We know these two brothers went live right after the trade went down yesterday. So just to get your kind of initial impressions over it, we'll dig down deeper into it here in a second. But JB, how you feeling after this trade?
Man, emotions are all over the place right now, man. Last night I'm watching the Virginia Tech Hurricanes game, and I just on ESPN I see on the ticker, Captain New York. Immediately I knew Jew was gone. I knew it was Julius Randle was gone. And I was like, you know what, before I pull this up, I made peace. Julius Randle, I understand we have to move on from him. What put a dagger in my heart, though, is when I saw Devo was attached to that, because I absolutely love Devo. He's a dog. He's a great shooter. One of the top 3-point shooters last season. And to lose him, it's a big hit for me as a fan. We never got to see the Nova Knicks like they talked about. It's never going to come to fruition. I understand getting Cat, and I'm sure we'll go into the breakdown, but just initial reactions was, once I saw we lost Devo, I was crushed, absolutely crushed. I think I even texted you last night at like 1 a.m. telling you this.
Yeah, I was knocked the fuck out. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I woke up about 1:30 a.m. and that's when I watched these guys that they had been live. But like, I woke up to all types of notifications on my phone. So I'm like, what did the Bulls do? But it was this, and I was like, hey, shout out to Shams for getting Woj is gone. Shams got the first Shams bomb. So that is what it is. But to break down this trade, so Karl Anthony Towns is going to the New York Knicks in exchange for Donte DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, and they get a future first-round pick, I believe, from the Detroit Pistons, which is crazy. This gives the Timberwolves a little bit more flexibility. Julius Randle has 1 year left on his deal after the season, whereas Karl Anthony Towns is all the way into the 2027, 2028 season, I think, where he has an early termination option of $61 million. But this really brings both teams kind of what they need. The Knicks, one glaring hole was the center position. Now, a lot of people thought they would get more of a defensive-minded center. They get Karl Anthony Towns, who still has averaged over a block and a half for a career first game. And I think that's going to play into how the New York Knicks are going to try to play basketball on the defensive side of the ball. But I tell you what, they have way better perimeter defense than like what a Indiana Pacers did. So even if they go all in on offense, I think that this New York Knicks team is going to be pretty solid defensively, because they're going to be in a position to really stop almost everything out on the perimeter, be in a position to really contend everything out on the perimeter. Guys, how are you feeling about the New York Knicks after this trade? Are they now the biggest threat to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference?
Honestly, I'm going to say to be determined.
Okay.
I'm worried about the paint defense. I'm worried about Thibodeau and Cats, how they're going to mesh together. You know how Thibodeau is. We had him over here in Chicago, went to the Eastern Conference Finals. He like hardworking guys who's going to be on their business, especially on the defensive side. And we all know how Cat is. He can load off a little bit when it comes to defense. I think he's better at the 4. It looks like he's going to be playing the 5 to me. And then you're going to have a small team with Cat, the last line of defense, as your paint protector. That's how I see it. Maybe y'all got a different lineup, but Cat has to play the 5 this season. I'm just going to say to be determined.
While Mitch is out, yes, but I look at this and I say that Karl. I mean, when you look at Tom Thibodeau, like he's had Cat before, so it's not like he's unfamiliar. So he knows what to do and probably how to use Cat. And then I also say this: the Bulls had the best defense in the league with Carlos Boozer being their starting 4. And Karl Anthony Towns is a much better and more active, and he's becoming more active. And he's still soft on ball, but off ball defense, those type of things, Karl Anthony Towns has really grown a lot. How you feeling, Stevo?
With a little bit more hours to think on it, my overall perspective is for both sides, it's a little bit of sacrifice on both sides because when you look at it from the Minnesota, you just gain some toughness. When you gain some toughness with Julius Randle, which you needed, you need some grit in the playoffs. And if he's able to provide and he's healthy enough, that could be a big deal with everything. Plus, like you said, the big insurance piece of this whole deal is that they got a Detroit Pistons first round pick. That's crazy. So that's the insurance just in case Julius don't hold up. And then you still able to get Donte. Donte is the guy that I think was the missing piece and why they was maybe not able to get over the hump in the Western Conference Final, because you just need somebody that can flat out score and defend, which he's become one of those best perimeter defenders and shooters and scorers in the league. 6th man of the year, almost in that conversation of winning. So when it comes to the Knicks side, you just gain an extra 25%. 25 point per game shooter, long ball shooter, somebody that's more threat. Like I told C-Dub, when you go up against these trees in the East, it almost works out in your favor because not too many bigs in the East it works in their favor when you can bring them out, which Cat can do. So if you taking the Cavs out, they bigs out the center, you could go through the center, you go to the hole all night. And just because they lost Donte, you got Josh Hart, you got Mikal Bridges, and like what Drip just said, Cat can play some solid team defense. So, and he has the players around him that are elite communicators, like a Mikal Bridges, like even Brunson. Even though he don't play the best, he communicates well. I think both teams can work well with this trade, in my opinion. They just sacrificed a little bit more to see if they get to that next spot.
Yeah, I understand. I do think it could work, but it's to be determined because Karl Anthony Towns, I hear what you guys saying, but he's always been kind of a loaf on defense, especially at the 5. He excelled at the 4. He excelled. And when you talk about the Chicago Bulls, you had Joakim Noah at the center position, who is an all defensive player. So Boozer is his job isn't that hard. So I still think that it can be successful, but I have to see it in play. I have to see it.
I think on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to be an absolute menace
Absolutely.
with the spacing with Cat, OG, Brunson, Bridges, Hart. All these guys can shoot the 3 ball, so the space can be a crazy thing. On the defense, though, I don't know how this is really going to work with Cat playing the 5. I mean, I guess that means OG is going to play the 4. I mean, I don't
Probably
I don't
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. No
Hart
way,
is
bro.
probably
He's
gonna
too
play
small, man.
What?
He's too
I
small.
mean,
to play
I feel
4.
more comfortable playing OG at that 4.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get what you're getting at, but like, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
It's a lot up in the air. I mean, what's funny though is I went on Reddit last night because I was just curious to see how the Knicks fans were taking this, which is kind of like me. Like some people happy, some people pissed. A lot more people pissed off than happy. And on the Wolves Reddit, everyone's like, people are saying they want to kill themselves. Everyone's pissed off. Cat was never told about this. They did him dirty as hell. He found out on social media just like everybody else.
Wow.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. So and to raise the question, like, and this is to show how much Karl Anthony Towns over the last 2 seasons has grown as a defender. When he's on the court, the Minnesota Timberwolves are a better defensive team by 2.8 points per 100 possessions. The team shot a less effective field goal percentage. They force more turnovers with Karl Anthony Towns. Like, he's grown as a defender. And I think the key thing in a Tom Thibodeau team defense is just being engaged. And I think Tibbs is going to keep Karl Anthony Towns engaged on the defensive side of the ball.
I'm just thinking from a mindset of like, it's not like they're gonna be Indiana.
That's what I'm saying.
Like they're gonna have enough. like what JB just said. Out of everybody he named outside of Cat, they're great defenders, almost, if not good. They're good to great defenders. OG, Josh, Mikal. You can hide a lot of deficiencies with that many amount of players that can play defense from your 5.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Indiana go far just outscoring people. I believe with the addition of Towns, they can rival the point totals and the amount of offense that Indiana generated last year. But the defense is going to be way better than what Indiana has to offer. Versus, so like when I say, yeah, you might not like the one-on-one aspect from Cat being with the 5 against the 5s in the Cat in the East, but when you talk about a team aspect, it's gonna be a matchup nightmare for most of the people in the East outside Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly. And to me, with this addition, they kind of bump in and maybe push out Milwaukee as they're probably in the top 3 in the East.
So I just really wanted to point out, because on our last episode, when me and Haize recorded, we were talking about buying and selling teams. As of this trade, the Knicks have now moved into the 3 spot on the odds in Vegas to win the title. They were originally in the 4 spot. It was Boston, OKC, 76ers for some reason, and then us. We've now moved up to the number 3 spot. We were at a plus 900 to win. We're now at a plus 750, which is 7.5 to 1 odds. And the Wolves have slightly moved up as well, not in ranking, but in the odds. So apparently Vegas thinks this was a great move.
You can understand that from how the shock of the trade, you know what I'm saying, and excitement. But me personally, and beyond what Vegas thinks, I probably think they moved too fast. I think they could have, without the trades, they still the top 4 seed in each conference. The Knicks are top 4 seed in the East, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are top 4 seed in the West. Maybe
but
went
it's a
too
difference
fast
in the playoffs,
huh?
I think it's a difference in the playoffs.
It's a difference in the playoffs for sure. And I think the Knicks are a team that seeding is going to matter to them. Like, I get what you're saying is like far as wait and seeing, but who's to say that that deal would have become available? Like, like when you look at it, I get what we're saying as far as the big man in the East, but let's really break down the centers in the Eastern, specifically in the Eastern Conference, right? And who Karl Anthony Towns is going to have to be defending. Bam. Has a size advantage there, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Jared Allen, we already know that, or Evan Mobley, depending.
Nick Claxton.
Yeah, but the Brooklyn Nets aren't a threat to be in the playoffs.
I'm just naming sitters.
I'm talking about more playoff. I get what you're saying. I'm talking about more playoff teams.
Embiid.
Like Embiid is probably gonna be the hardest one.
KP.
Yeah, Embiid's going to be a great, definitely a difficult matchup. But like, we're not talking about an Eastern Conference that has a bunch of big men that are going to be on teams that are going to be in the playoffs making threats. Like, yeah, Al Horford, Kristaps, but they just have just as many injury concerns as anything that you go for. And the thing that I think that we're talking about a lot that we're not talking about enough in this as well is that while they're starting off this season, of course, with Mitchell Robinson not healthy, don't let Mitchell Robinson be healthy in the playoffs, because at that point, that eliminates everything as far as the defensive aspect of it. And then I would say this: I think that Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns can have a really good dynamic, much like Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns work themselves into having. And if that's what you get into, and then at that point you can move when a Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges coming off the bench, you better watch out in the playoffs at that point.
Let me ask JB a question. How confident are you in Mitchell Robinson?
If he was, first of all, I just want to say this whole shit should be blamed on Mitch Robinson. If he wasn't made out of glass, no, we wouldn't be having this conversation now. Yeah. He caused this whole thing. But I'm confident in Mitch when he's healthy. When he's healthy, he's one of the best. But the health is the concern. And this is why when we were having the talks about do we go with iHeart or do we go with Mitch, as much as I loved Mitch, I was like, we have to go with iHeart. He's the guy. I feel like he has more upside potential.
What it is. That's what it
was.
Listen,
if they were able to keep
it was that.
If they were able to keep Isaiah Hartenstein and get Karl Anthony Towns, they'd be the favorite in the East to me. I don't care what the Boston Celtics have done.
And that's what I was
saying. They still pull
a
trigger with a Karl Anthony Towns with Hartenstein. That's what I would say. Would they still try to pull a trigger? I don't think they would.
I don't think they would, because I think they're okay with, because if we had iHeart as a starter, I think they're okay with like Precious or Jericho as a backup. And because iHeart, not only does he bring defense, rebound, that dog, but he can score as well. I mean, he's got to give you 20 a night, but he's going to give you a 10 a night, an 8 a night. He'll give you something.
Solid defensively. He's always in a right spot, rebound, block shots. I like Hartenstein. That's a big loss for the Knicks.
Now,
is it a
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead, C-Dub.
Is it a possibility that this is how I think it can work?
Who's
Maybe you start
fire alarm needs new batteries? Smoke
I ain't
detector, I
heard
mean.
that.
Somebody smoke detector need new batteries. Y'all being real niggerish in this mug. But go ahead, C-Dub.
You ignorant
Yo,
motherfucker.
it gotta be bad right now, bro.
this how I think it can immediately work with the starting lineup. Maybe you want to start Precious, play Karl at the 4, and Josh come off the bench. Y'all mad at that?
I don't know if they trust Precious like that. I honestly don't know if they do going into training camp, maybe something like that changes. But right now, I don't know if they trust Precious like that, to be 100% honest.
Why you rolling your eyes, Steve?
I ain't rolling my eyes. I'm just trying to picture, and the picture, in the words of our generation, this picture ain't picturing. Like I don't see. I think you just got to ride it out till Mitch get healthy. It is what it is.
If he gets healthy, that's a big question mark. Big
I
question.
still don't feel like playing small is the end of the world for this team. I don't feel like they're gonna have that many problems playing small.
Okay. All right. The perimeter defense is going to be unbelievable.
And that's the thing. The
It's gonna be
perimeter defense is going to be legit. It's going to be next level, and we'll see.
Let's see. Why you so adamant about Cat in the middle? You acting like we didn't have a decent defense when we was healthy with Booch at the damn helm.
When did we have a decent defense?
3 years ago. What do you mean? Before
you went
before
Lonzo
everything
with
went to shit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was what I'm saying. That's an example of what it can look like with this team. You don't have a good, solid center that can play one-on-one defensive basketball. You have a team that's great at team defense, and look how we play: deflection, steals, running on fast break. That's what I see the Knicks doing.
Well, they better run. I just think the paint is going to be open like 7-Eleven. The paint is going to be open like 7-Eleven. The perimeter defenders can be as good as they can be, but these players are good. Every NBA team has great players that is eventually going to get past those defenders. And trust Karl Anthony Towns if you want.
Ooh.
I'm talking not to you. I'm not talking
to
you.
I'm saying who will get past their defenders?
These are whoever. These are NBA players. They're going to get penetration to the basket.
I ain't gonna lie. I feel like this team has the potential to be one of the best defenses in this era.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
They could be some hounds.
They have the chance to be one of the best perimeter.
They could be some hounds, bro.
Okay.
I agree.
They're all defensively sound. They're all intelligent. They communicate very well. They're well coached, and then you have a defensive well coached coach. It's a match made in heaven. It's gonna look like college out there. I promise you.
Okay. I think the biggest issue with Cat is he going to stay healthy, because he's shown in the last couple of seasons he hasn't been able to play like a full season, and that's my only concern. If he stays healthy, man, we get back Mitch, we are definitely going to be a problem in the playoffs for sure.
And don't overlook. Listen, one thing we've seen with the Knicks, don't overlook them looking to move Mitchell Robinson if he's not ready to go and healthy. If they can find a deal.
You think?
Yeah, if they can find somebody,
if they don't feel confident in Mitchell Robinson, I will not put it like with aggressive as the Knicks have been with not sitting on their laurels and moving off. I don't know what'll be out there for Mitchell Robinson, but I wouldn't put it past them that they'd be open to move Mitchell Robinson if it means getting them a player that can fit next to Karl Anthony Towns if size does become an issue for them.
I don't even know what we go after at this point. It wouldn't. I don't think it'll be any big
one player that I tell you, one player that I think will be available at the trade deadline, because I think this team is going to be tanking. Don't overlook Jakob Poeltl.
I like.
Don't overlook Jakob
I like
Poeltl.
that for this team.
Don't overlook Jakob Poeltl.
They want to trade in the division.
Oh, I like that for this team.
I mean, that's a good question. But we'll see. I'm just saying, don't overlook Jakob. The perfect player, I'll tell you who I would love for this Knicks team they're not going to let go without giving up a shit ton, is Nick Claxton would be the perfect center for this team if you want.
I was thinking the same thing.
Nick Claxton would be the perfect center.
A lot of fans were calling from that since last season. But yeah.
Didn't he just sign a contract?
He just signed a contract. Yeah. So he can't be traded until until December, something like that. But
Hey, I don't know. I think ain't New York out of money at this point.
no, that's the thing about what the Knicks have done that is so special here. Like the Knicks right now are still $90,000 below the second tax apron, but next year that goes up to $9 million, and then the season after that they're $54 million, and that's still with all their major pieces besides Mikal Bridges being under contract.
Leon Rose is so smart.
The Knicks, the Leon Rose has been masterful about taking everything into consideration with how he built this team. Masterful.
Yeah.
So
now we gotta talk about the elephant in the room now.
What's that? We talked a lot about the Knicks. We got to get eventually to.
That's what I was just about to say. They put a hell of a lot of pressure on Anthony Edwards, and let me tell you why. That long ball is gone. So his long ball gonna have to be way more efficient than it was last year because it was iffy.
You got Donte there now, though.
You do, but still, in the moments, there was times where in the moments where he was able to just play defense, make quality plays. I feel like it's gonna be more. We gonna need you down the stretch. I think they just put a little bit more pressure. Yeah, Donte gonna help for sure. But I think it's just gonna be a little bit more difficult. He got a little bit more on his hands now than he don't. Because like I said, he losing a 25-point per game player.
When I think about this team now, I think they can still go in can still be on that same path. Who's gonna have? Is the coach gonna have the guts to tell Jules, "You coming off the bench? It's Nas' turn. Nas is starting." I think Nas is a better player at this point. Jules would be better off the bench for Minnesota, and that's what they should do. They probably not, just because of the trade. Randall might have to start, but Nas should be starting. He's still a young kid at 24 years old. He had an excellent playoff run and an excellent season. Didn't he win 6th man of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 6th man of the year.
That may be why he doesn't start though.
He can fit in right into that.
I don't know because you just got a 6th man of the year.
That's another thing too. But I mean, having both those players coming off the bench, that's some need. And keep in mind, the Minnesota Timberwolves needed some firepower off the bench. And not to say Julius Randle can't. That's why I said may. I'm not saying for sure. Like I'm not willing to say that it's an impossibility that Julius Randle comes off the bench. I'm not saying that. I don't know what he'll accept or anything like that. But I look at this and I say, like, why change with so much change happening? You may want some stability with knowing that, hey, Naz Reid coming off your bench, that's our stable bench player, right? We know exactly what he's going to be. Yeah. He's the known for you.
I just don't like the mix of the offensive game of Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards at the same time.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's what I said I can understand. It comes down to how, and one thing that we saw though, Karl, Mike Conley running that offense, it was like he really did have to navigate that offense, and that may be what you rely on your veteran and Mike Conley to do.
I mean, Brunson was balling out last season. I mean, arguably a top 5 player in the league. You could make that debate.
Yes.
And there were times where Jew was ball hogging. Like he was ball hogging hard, and that's my concern with Anthony Edwards. Is he going to stunt his growth? Is he going to stunt Naz Reid's growth? Because I agree. I think Naz Reid is 100% ready. So that's my issue on the Timberwolves side, and I think their fans are concerned about that as well. On the positives, like we mentioned a little bit earlier, he has that grit. He's battle tested. Donte, he has that. He has all advantages. There's no disadvantage to having Donte at all.
Yeah,
I think Julius need to take that Bobby Portis role.
I agree. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and he could very well. And then keep in mind too, like the one thing, depending on how they view Rob Dillingham and how, like, one thing that Julius Randle, much like the problem with New York, he is an on-ball creator. Now he's not always great at it, but having an on-ball creator like him coming off your bench could do wonders. So,
yeah, and he used to it. That's what he did in college.
Yeah,
yeah, so. And I ain't gonna duck my, sheesh. I said it. I'm worried about Donte DiVincenzo and his minutes with this team. And let me explain. Let me explain. Calm out that. There's a lot of very talented, talented scorers on this team. Donte DiVincenzo is the ultimate overachiever. He's not as naturally talented as some of these guys on the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is a massive overachiever. I love him in that case. He's a dog as well. You got some naturally talented guys on this team, and TSJ, Rob Dillingham, Alexander, and Mike Conley is going to start. I know he's going to get minutes, but it might not be to the amount that people think with these other kids on this team. That's all I'm saying.
I don't see where you got that at. Like Donte DiVincenzo is a player who's 27 years old. He averaged 18 minutes last season, coming off the bench primarily for the New York Knicks. Like, you could talk about all the natural talented players that they have, but the fact of the matter is that the Timberwolves are trying to compete now. They don't have time for Rob Dillingham at 6'1" to try to figure out how to score off the bench. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to play regardless with his versatility, but again, he's not nearly the scorer that Donte DiVincenzo is. And then who else? Joe Ingles? There's nobody on the perimeter that's ahead of Donte DiVincenzo right now as far as being able to contribute and help this Minnesota Timberwolves get scoring off the bench. Nobody.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, the whole naturally talented part. He better than the motherfuckers right now. That's the end ball be all. He's better, and he's not going to mess up.
He's not going
to. That's the whole.
Mess up.
Not to the degree
overall,
of
like everybody's going to make mistakes,
but not to the degree of a Rob Dillingham and a Terrence Shannon coming in a high pressure moment in the playoffs.
Okay,
that's what I mean. Like,
when
we need some down. Like, if we need some energy and to shake up the game, bring in Rob. But we need to seal this game. Donte is ending the game.
Okay.
Here's my last question for you guys. At the end of the day, choose one. Who won this trade?
I'd say with their that's the thing. I'll say this: the New York Knicks, to me, won it because of the flexibility that they still have financially while still holding on to all their pieces. The Minnesota Timberwolves could lose Julius Randle for nothing, next season, and they don't have anything to replace it. Like that's a huge thing that they'd have to replace. So this really puts a lot of pressure, like Stevo said, on Ant to take his game to the next level for sure. Whereas I think that, the Timberwolves got that Detroit pick that could turn into 2 second-round picks, but to me, on the surface level right now, the Knicks won this trade.
Can I just point something that's very ironic? A link just dropped, a quote just dropped of Donte saying that he was iffy on his Knicks role, saying he didn't exactly love the idea of reduced minutes behind Mikal Bridges.
Interesting.
Wow.
So you worried about minutes going over there? He was worried about the minutes here.
Okay.
Devo's like, send my ass to Minnesota. Let me get one minute.
I'm finna go there and hoop.
Yeah. I mean, and Donte DiVincenzo is gonna have a green light, especially coming off that bench, and that Minnesota Timberwolves may have consecutive 6th man of the year coming from the team, because I can see Donte DiVincenzo killing it on the Minnesota.
He's gonna be like KCP when Lakers won their championship.
Yeah. And don't overlook Donte DiVincenzo as an underrated defender as well. Not a great. I'm not saying like as an underrated team defender, he's pretty damn good.
From what he came from for Villanova, he damned it great. He damned it great.
Or the Knicks thought last season was a fluke. It was like, let's get something for him while he's hot.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think that's the case.
I don't know. From Sac to Golden State, I constantly see him grow. So
yeah.
I remember Nate Robinson with Thibodeau. You know about them overachieving players, Nate Robinson.
But the thing is Nate Robinson achieved before he came to Chicago, and then after he left Chicago, people forget he tore his ACL that summer after leaving Chicago. So that's why he never really achieved anything. Let's talk about another one.
Was not tore anything under Tibbs.
Marco Bellinelli. He wouldn't win a title after he left the Chicago Bulls. So, I mean, there's a case for both of all of it being made. But the thing is, with Donte, you've seen him do it other places. So he's not a byproduct of
Golden State. You said he did it with Golden State.
Golden State, really Sacramento.
Yeah. Now Milwaukee, he wasn't quite Donte at that point, but
it was flashes.
Yeah,
it was flashes.
You saw some of it there.
But then again, he had what's his name, Pat Connaughton next to him. So that was the reason why he really couldn't, because Pat was actually
and then you had the rise of the no lip bastard Grayson Allen during that time as well. So
this guy.
I told you my theory. You don't trust people with no top lip. There's no way. If you trust somebody with no top lip, you taking a risk of your life. That's all I got.
And he had gray hair, and he had gray hair when he was a college student.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can I say that Minnesota probably won this trade, and I'm not really sure.
Okay.
If they bring Jules off the bench,
I say they won this trade over what they got a Detroit pick. That's what they won. They won. You got a $6 million a year person that you didn't have, and a first round. And let's be honest, if he ain't a ball hog and he ain't and he's healthy, you got a solid 4. Like you got a solid 4 that you needed some toughness from. Who down the stretch you can see him having big games in the playoffs. So yeah, and then again, I feel like they both won. You got Cat. You just added one of the best, most talented. Like I said, he has the talent to be one of the best centers in the league.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Any last thoughts on this trade before we get up out of here, man? On this Saturday afternoon.
Man, they try. Oh, the Knicks finna score a lot of points. That's all I
lot
got
of
to say.
damn
They
ball.
finna score a lot of points.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the season to begin, man. Couple weeks.
Yeah.
I was really excited about this season. Now I'm just getting even more. It's been some solid moves. I'm eager.
Hey, listen, the Eastern Conference is going to be fun to
Interesting.
watch this year. Is all I can say. Like
Somebody
that
said
top of the
football.
Eastern Conference is going to be fun. Oh yeah, I mean, if I had to pick any fall off candidate, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. Like
Me too.
I said
That's
before,
what I was thinking. Like
somebody
got to
the
get out of there.
The Cavs to me are a young team as long as they can stay healthy. The Orlando Magic, I think, it hit a huge rise. I like the Milwaukee Bucks to me. They didn't make any significant changes. They didn't bring in anything that they learned that they needed after seeing that team fail last season. And by the way, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, all got a year older. And for some reason, Bobby Portis seems to be falling out of favor with Doc Rivers. I like all that shit happening. It's just like I look at the Milwaukee Bucks and I say, cool. Shout out to y'all for winning a lot of regular season games. But to me, and this may be as of right now before seeing anything, they're gonna be a first round exit.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, please.
No, I was going to say we talked about that in last episode. I'm not high on Milwaukee as well. I do think they win a lot of season games, but I don't see them going past that. First round, maybe at the best, second round exit. I just don't think that's it. Now, like I said, I think Dame Lillard is just cursed at this point.
Yeah,
I don't think he's destined to win a title.
I think they should have found a way to get him to Miami. He shouldn't have never went to Milwaukee.
We seriously gonna see Russell Westbrook, Dame Lillard, and Derrick Rose all retire without ever winning the ring.
James Harden too.
I mean, I don't give a fuck about.
I don't give a fuck about
Harden. Throw James Harden under.
He a Hall of Fame. He's in the Hall of Fame in the strip clubs. That's what the fuck he is.
Y'all saw that picture of him, and he's like, "Oh, he's on Ozempic," and I don't know whose body that is, but someone skinny. Y'all seen it?
Oh, I seen that picture just last night. Yeah, that can't be real. It ain't real.
No, it's not real. I don't know whose body
He
that
was
is.
experiment. He was the first motherfucker to experiment with Ozempic. I figured it out. I done figured the shit out. Now I know.
That shit took 4 years to kick in. That's a hell of a shit. It took 4 years to Ozempic start working for you hard. That's crazy, bro.
I mean, lemon pepper hot wings and liquor at night. It's hard to fight off.
That's a
strip club. My nickname.
Strip club buffets, bro. You never had strip club buffets?
I call him Kimbo Wedge because he's not a slice. He's a wedge. He's Kimbo Wedge.
Hey, Stevo, this gonna piss you off, but he going to the Hall of Fame though. Just to piss you
he's
off.
going to the Hall of Fame.
He is,
I
sure.
told bro, it ain't gonna piss me off because, like I told you, once T-Mac made it, that opened up the floodgates for everybody.
Nah, but beyond T-Mac, he going.
No,
T-Mac on his own morals, the what he did in the NBA. He going to the Hall of Fame.
He made it out the second round. He never made it out the second round. That's not.
Right.
And he didn't do shit.
And T-Mac is gonna be what a lot of people use when people say like, "Oh, such and such is gonna get into the Hall of Fame." T-Mac.
That's what everybody said.
He didn't win no state championships in Florida. He didn't go to college.
No MVPs. No. So
yeah, like you.
Is he the worst to be in the Hall of Fame?
To me, yeah.
Look, let's not give up. That's content. We can get. That's a whole nother video. We'll get into. That's actually a great video idea. We'll get into that at some point. Any last thoughts on this Minnesota Timberwolves, New York Knicks trade before we get up out of here? No. All right, y'all can follow us at. Y'all can follow
6 in the finals.
Knicks is 6. Y'all can follow us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything NBA related, and we'll see you guys next time we feel like making a video. Peace, y'all.
Shout out my boy Brooke.
Was that Brooke
Button
Lopez?
press.
No.
This has been a presentation